Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Get Set CISSP. I am Tanesh Andilya and I'll be your host for this episode. So today I'm going to talk about the first domain of the CISSP, which is security and risk management, and I'll be covering some of the topics which have been added in the new exam format. So the first topic that I'll be talking about is the CISSP Code of Ethics. In general, the Code of Ethics is a standard for professional behavior. So CISSP has 4 canons of their ethical behavior, which anyone who is certified from CISSP are supposed to abide by. So let's talk about the Code of Ethics one by one. The first one is to protect the society, the common good, and the necessary public trust. The second one is to act honorably, justly, responsibly, and legally. Moving on to the third one, we need to provide competent and diligent service to the principals. And finally, we should advance and protect the profession. So these were the 4 canons of the ethical behavior by CISSP. Now let's talk about the organizational code of ethics. So the organizational code of ethics could be different from the CISSP code of ethics, and there could sometimes be a conflict between the CISSP code of ethics and the organizational code of ethics. To resolve this conflict, CISSP suggests that if the organizational code of ethics are aligned with the CISSP's first code of ethics canon, which is to protect the society and the general good and the public trust, then the organizational ethics should be followed by the first priority. But if the organizational code of ethics do not promote the first canon of CISSP code of ethics, then they should not be followed. So now let's talk about the second topic of the day, which is to understand and apply the security concepts. And the first security concept that we are going to talk about is the CIA Triad, or the AIC Triad as it's sometimes known as. So let's talk about confidentiality. Confidentiality is nothing but keeping secrets secret. So any information which is valuable to the company, or any information which holds a certain amount of value to it, should be kept secret at any cost. It should not be disclosed to any of the unauthorized actors or any of the unauthorized subjects that should not be seeing that information. And for the most part, we deal with information as data, so it needs to be protected in all of the 3 states, which is data at rest, data in transit, and data in use. So now let me talk about some of the subsets of confidentiality which can easily be confused with each other. One of them is secrecy. Now, secrecy is basically keeping the knowledge that the information exists also hidden. So by confidentiality, it could be that a bad actor knows that some of the information exists but may not necessarily know the meaning of it. But in the case of secrecy, we are keeping the knowledge that the information exists also secret. So the bad actor may not know that the information exists at all, but by keeping the secrecy, we are maintaining that confidentiality and the secrecy at the same time of the information. This is sometimes also known as security by obscurity. Now, the second subset of confidentiality is privacy. Privacy has to do with the personally identifiable information. Any information which can be associated with a person is known as a private information. Now, let's talk about the second principle of CIA Triad, which is integrity. Integrity means keeping data as is. So any of the data which is kept inside the databases or the servers or anywhere which is the data is kept, or the data is in transit, it should reflect to the data that was existing and will exist in the future. Or in simple words, the data should be equal to the physical reality. If the data says there are 10 apples, then the reality should also say that there are 10 apples. It can also be in the case of where you're getting the information from. And if the person is authorized to give you the information, then the integrity of the information will be maintained. If you are getting the information from an unauthorized person, the integrity of the data may not be maintained as much. Now, integrity also has some subsets that I'm going to talk about. So the first subset of integrity is accuracy, and accuracy means to present the information or keep the information as correct and as precise as possible. The next one is truthfulness, meaning the information should be a true reflection of the reality. Moving on, we have authenticity, meaning that the information should be coming from an authentic source and the information should be genuine. The last subset of integrity that I want to talk about is non-repudiation. Now, non-repudiation is a very important concept that you need to keep in mind for the CISSP exam. Non-repudiation is basically not being able to deny doing some activity or performing some action. An example of non-repudiation could be me sending an email to someone and denying it after the fact. But since it's on the server, since it's on the record, it is difficult for me to deny that I have sent this email, and it is thus creating an auditable trace for it. So we have arrived at the last topic for the day, which is availability, and it is the third most important concept of CIA Triad. Availability simply means the ability to provide timely and uninterrupted access to the data or the information to authorized individuals and authorized personnels. This is one of the principles which is dependent both on confidentiality and integrity of the data. By providing availability, you're assuring that the information is properly usable and is accessible at the time it is required with a minimum amount of latency. An example could be a website using multiple database servers, read replicas, application servers, and load balancing for a better experience and better outreach of their customers. Okay, so this was a short episode on CISSP Domain 1, Security and Risk Management topics, and I'll be covering more such topics in next episodes. Thanks for tuning in.